All right, listen to me very closely because life for the top 1% of men is better than it has ever been. And for the other 99% of men, it is more depressing than it has ever been. Because you see, contrary to what they tell you in the media, life for a man is actually quite hard. It's a video game where you start right at the beginning at level 0, and every single day you have to work to level up. You see, because if you don't, some other guy will, and that guy will take the money that could have been yours, the life that could have been yours, and this is going to be very, very, very difficult for you to hear right now, but even the wife that could have been yours.
Try to work on lead flow as much as possible, right? Wherever wherever you can find them, whether that's day game, whether that's night game, whether that's, social circle, whether that's, dating apps, whatever it is you need to do, like, at that early stage, do it, and then work on yourself. Sort of the red pill community, I don't think really, I don't know, I think some guys don't really want to hear it. It's like, you can cry about it if you want, but girls like being with winners.
Best purchase you can make in your 20s is a watch, specifically an expensive timepiece that holds its value and is recognizable by other people. So I recommend buying a luxury timepiece for everyone watching this, as long as you have $30,000 liquid or more. Because look, for me, you could have $30,000 in the bank, or you could have a $10,000 watch and then $20,000 in the bank. But having that money in the bank gives you absolutely zero benefits. There are insane benefits of having a watch. First of all, it's instant status. It's also conversation starter with other people who are watch collectors and into the watch world. I'm just being honest with you. If a client sees that you have a $10,000 or $15,000 Rolex on your wrist, it's literally instant status. It's more credibility. And I know it sucks. You're like, why is the world like this? It's just the way it is.
How are you enjoying London so far?
London is pretty. The people here are not as pretty. I'm not going to say America, because America on average is bad. But we live in a very good place in America. We live in Arizona. A lot of people with money, a lot of people that are beautiful, that want to improve their life. What I'm used to is amazing food, the best food in America. I'm used to the prettiest guys and girls living there. I'm used to a very high quality of life. The food in Arizona is better. The people are different. I went to a football game and they scored. Liverpool scored. And the guy next to me just started hugging me. He was waving his flag around, hit me in the head. No regard. I was laughing. I was like, what the hell? It's so interesting. In America, people are so much, oh, sorry. If they bump into you, sorry. Here, no. They're more aggressive. Not good or bad, just different. I like London.
The person who's grinding and, just made their first 100K a year, you're going to get more satisfaction from that than I do at 8 figures a year, because nothing's new. The way I kind of describe it is imagine if you lost your sense of taste. You can never enjoy food ever. There's no pleasure you could ever derive from any food ever. You're still going to go to restaurants. Of course you're going to go, because it's just a part of life, but you get no sense of pleasure from it. That's the thing. People look at my life and they're like, oh, he flies private and has these watches and, can spend and splurge. And it's like, yeah, but you get no pleasure from that. I grew up on a farm, not for much of my life, but I can tell you, please tell me, 9 months a year, where am I going to get my vegetables from? When it's negative 12 degrees in Russia, where's my vegetables?
Exactly.
You can't eat these things 8-9 months a year. If we go back tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, what are you going to eat? Animals. That's it. Go take $1,000 and rather than spending it on just some stupid Louis Vuitton or Dior or any of these big bold brands, it's just so obvious that one of two things. Either you're someone that is lower to middle class that is wanting to appear rich, or someone who makes a lot of money, but they're just not confident in themselves. So they feel like they need to have these big brands and everything, to validate that other people know that they have money. Rather than doing that, go to some good brands, go get, your essentials, go get a few nice t-shirts that fit really well on you. Go find some trousers, make sure they're not too skinny. Rather than jeans, get some trousers and then go and get that to a tailor. You need to understand that in order to have a incredible wardrobe that just sits well, is classic, is timeless, it really doesn't actually cost you that much money.
I was a 15-year-old, 14-year-old telling my friend's parents, college is a scam. If you want to send your kid there, so be it. But right before I dropped out of school, I was the kid who, in 2017, when my econ teacher was telling me about fractional reserve banking, I was the kid who was like, what, you mean stealing from the poor, right? And when my economics teacher was like, oh, we need a 2% inflation rate, that's the basis. I'm like, okay, so explain to me why every year we need to debase the currency by 2%. Remind me why we need to steal from poor people again? Because it's not like that fucking affects the elites and the super wealthy who primarily have most of their wealth in assets.
Dude, I never planned on owning as many fucking watches as I do, but it's part of my investment portfolio. So it's don't think about how much money you're spending on the watch. You're just parking your money there.
Right, yeah, it's just an asset.
Right, and by the way, if you're buying at the right time, and now is a decent, wait another 6 months, they'll come down even further, market price that is.
Right.
Or just start building relationships with the brands, and then if you get them at retail, I bought another rose gold Daytona yesterday. I have 4.
Like, why do I need 4 of the same watch? Because I throw it in the vault. I mean, that one I'm keeping for my future wife. I have like a separate vault where I keep my Birkins, my Kellys.
That's crazy.
September 1st, 1989. Dear Diary.
Soldier Boy, tell.
One of my buddies actually sends me Logan Paul's story where he's announcing the 99 original that he's selling for that day. And the main perk of it is you get to come on as a guest for Impulsive. So I looked at it and I was like, that's actually a pretty decent perk. No idiot is going to pay over $100,000 for it. And I've been meaning to go over to the stateside for a while now. I just never really had a good excuse. It's a 16-hour flight to go from Dubai to the United States. So I was like, hey, this kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. And in that moment, I decided I'm going to bid and I'm going to win this 99 original. I'm so sorry I spent the last 7 years working my fucking ass off, sacrificing everything to get to a point where, yes, I don't have to follow the rules, and I never will. And then people would say, oh, but you're speaking from a very privileged place because, you know, you're healthy. Last year, I had a chronic autoimmune condition that I had the most expensive doctors on earth tell me that you'll never be able to solve. Literally, someone called psoriasis. There's like 2% of the population that has it. All over my body, like insane. Like it was literally fully covered. And if it keeps going for a while, you end up getting something called psoriatic arthritis. So basically, if it kept going that way, within 10, 15 years, I'd be in a wheelchair. So I was actually in the highest risk category. So while all this stuff was going on, I was the highest risk category. Why is there a war against people who speak up? Why is it that only one side of the argument gets silenced? Who is behind all of this? All of these questions led me down so many different rabbit holes. And the path that was the scariest was just looking back at the history of our civilization as a whole. And here's why. I found myself reading about the motives and end goals of the ancient Greek wars, the Roman civilization, all the way down to World War I and II. And I will say at first I thought I might have been exaggerating by comparing an actual war with guns and bombs and planes to a few social media cancellations and bans. But after really digging deep into the past wars the world has lived through, I have noticed that there is something truly nefarious going on. What sparked every single one of those wars was the strive for control.
Right now, everyone's saying a recession is coming. What do you do with your money?
In a recession, you hold cash.
But fiat, is fiat any more good?
Just understand, whatever the news tells you to do the opposite. And rich people always win. This is something I had to tell my mom over the years. Rich people always win. I figured this out very, 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 very early from my stepdad. Because like me and my mom had such a tough upbringing. We got so royally put in a bad position where I was like, rich people always win. And you know what? I can complain about, or I can learn how rich people do things.
Yeah.
And I can be a person who uses my riches and my wealth for good. Is smoking cigars good for me? No. I do it either way. Is drinking good for me? Bro, I told you, like, I'll fucking outdrink anyone. Bro, I got Russian blood. Like, I can outdrink anyone. Is it good for me? No. And I understand that, but I'm willing to. Are AirPods good for me? No. The EMFs in AirPods are off the fucking charts.
Oh, really?
The added benefit to my life at this current stage is worth it for me right now.
Yeah.
The most powerful thing you can ever do, next time you go to dinner, consciously try to speak as little as possible and see how people's energy gets shifted towards you. Because they're like, because most people, when you're at like a dinner party, or obviously everyone wants to chime in and everyone wants to like add that next funny comment or this or that. And when you're the person who doesn't do that, everyone's kind of like, oh, like why is this person so comfortable? Like why does this person not need to say anything? And it immediately makes you a lot more attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'll be honest, I actually agree with 98% of everything he says.
Yeah.
But bear in mind, you need to understand that's coming from the perspective of someone. I have a Russian mother, single Russian mother, and not only that, we come from a Muslim part of Russia, Dagestan, where Habib is from.
Yeah.
The world that he's adopted, because he lives in Romania now, that Eastern world, like the ideologies that he's now adopted, like they're in my blood. I watch him his own stuff and he seems very genuine, very sincere. I think he basically has opinions which he articulates them very well, and then he just adds more flavor and stuff like that. I need you to become obsessed with buying assets in the next 2 years. Do me a favor, make it your wallpaper right now. Put it on a post-it note. Post it on your bathroom mirror. I need money for assets. Because as I said, if you have free cash flow, you have an opportunity for generational wealth. There are going to be some massive, massive, massive chess moves to be made in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And now that you know, you need to be in asset buying mode. And by the way, this is before we go into the storm. Today, at the time of recording this, it's not the time to buy real estate. The real estate market usually lags 12 to 18 months after the stock market crashes. We still have some time. The strive of a very small group of individuals to control everything that they could put their hands on, and above all perpetuate such control for generations to come. From the Roman Wars to the Cold Wars, there was always a small group of people acting behind the scenes with their hidden motives masked behind false ideals. Now the next obvious question is, who is this small group of individuals who gets to control the world around us from behind the scenes? Well, they cannot be named because they act in the shadows. No one sees them, and they act exclusively through their little puppets. The politicians, the government, the woke celebrities and influencers, journalists, the media, pulling the strings from above to propagate the narratives that better fit their hidden objectives through these puppets. And that, my friends, is why I call them the puppet masters. Your money is not safe in the banks, and you need to understand that when you put your money in the bank, legally, it is actually no longer your money anymore. And in the UK, if specific banks were to collapse, which it looks very, very imminent, you are insured up to £85,000, and that is it. It doesn't have £85 million in your bank account. So I went on a long discussion about this, and lo and behold, the next morning I wake up to find out that one of my bank accounts with almost £1 million in there just so happened to be closed. No trace of it, no access to my money, nothing. It's as if the account never even existed. It also just so happened that that account happened to be in the UK. Funny how that works.
How Islamic are you?
Well, not very.
Yeah, you drinking, stuff
yeah,
like that.
drinking.
Haram. I need a haram button.
Yeah, drinking, bro. Coming here because in Dubai you don't really get good bacon.
You eat pork too?
Yeah, yeah. I know, it's not good.
But how often do you pray? Do you go to the mosque?
I pray, but I don't go to mosque. So I pray every day. Yeah, and I believe in God. It's just I don't prescribe to religion yet.
Okay.
What religion are you actually?
So my name is Iman. It means faith in Arabic.
Okay.
So I'm technically a Muslim.
Gotcha. And then I'm not
All my family is Muslim.
I'm not well versed in the Muslim like culture. What is the equivalent of Christmas to you guys?
I'm not a good Muslim, as you saw from my drinking downstairs and the fact that I love bacon.
Oh, okay.
I'm probably not, like, my family is Muslim,
Yeah.
back in Russia and stuff like that, because we're from Dagestan. But yeah, I wouldn't know.
I was the 15-year-old, 14-year-old telling my friend's parents, like, college is a scam. If you want to send your kid there, I mean, so be it. But right before I dropped out of school, I was the kid who, in 2017, when my econ teacher was telling me about fractional reserve banking, I was the kid who was like, well, you mean stealing from the poor, right? And when my economics teacher was like, oh, we need a 2% inflation rate, like, that's the basis. I'm like, okay, so explain to me why every year we need to debase the currency by 2%. Remind me why we need to steal from poor people again? Because it's not like that fucking affects the elites and the super wealthy who primarily have most of their wealth in assets.
The most powerful thing you can ever do, next time you go to dinner, consciously try to speak as little as possible and see how people's energy gets shifted towards you, because they're like, because most people, when you're at like a dinner party, or obviously everyone wants to chime in and everyone wants to like add that next funny comment or this or that, and when you're the person who doesn't do that, everyone's kind of like, oh, like why is this person so comfortable? Like why does this person not need to say anything? And it immediately makes you a lot more attractive.